Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Pisces, and this is the last lunation before eclipse that is happening on the 25th of March in Libra, and the next one is happening on the 8th of April in Aries, and we are in the middle of eclipse season, and the eclipse season is very wild and overwhelming, especially because we are in the Pisces season and we have Pisces new moon, and we have so much happening in Pisces. Like Saturn is in Pisces, Moon is in Pisces, the Sun is in Pisces, Neptune is in Pisces, and Venus is very close to Pisces, and Mars is also getting there soon. So we have strong Piscean energies, very overwhelming, and this archetype of Pisces is very powerful, and it has a huge collective influence on all of us, and we'll feel it strongly. Pisces is a reminder, this whole energy is a big reminder for us, and the teacher, it's teaching us how to be in the world but not to be of it. You know that saying, that's an old saying, to be in the world but not of it. And this is the hidden message of the Pisces, and Pisces is represented by two fish swimming in opposite directions, and even though they take different paths, their journey is circular and it's coherent, and it's a reminder that everything in this world is coherent. It's in a supportive relationship with each other, and so this means that both of fish end up traveling the same waters. So even though they are taking different paths, they are in the same water. Their experiences may be different, but ultimately they both arrive at the same destination. So there is a lot of spiritual wisdom to unpack during this time as we reflect on two fish that we are facing inside of us and are outside of us. One fish also represents the light and the other represents the dark, pointing the necessary journey of navigating both the light and the dark states of life and states of mind. And we are definitely looking in this polarity that is always a theme of our lunations and our videos. But this duality of two fish reminds us that it all comes from unity, from one source. The Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, that represents the beginnings and endings, that is full of paradoxes, that represents the unknown, the mystical, the mysterious, otherworldly, occult teachings, esoteric and metaphysical teachings, spiritual dimensions, subtle dimensions, entities, spirits, dreams, symbols, everything that is unreachable, that is hard to explain, that is coming from the subconscious. It's our subconscious. It's about subconscious fears and anxieties too. It's about escapism. It's about spiritual bypassing. It's about avoidance. It's about blind spots and weaknesses. It's about our victim mentality. It's about sacrificing. It's about osmosis. It's about endings and beginnings, as I said. And it's about empathy and understanding and unconditional love and unity and oneness. So Pisces is very complex, very, very complex. It embraces and encompasses a lot of archetypes and meanings, and it can be moody. It can change moods quickly. So this new moon can make us a bit moody, can make us change our minds quickly, but also our urge to merge with somebody but also urge to merge with the source, with that oneness, with that unconditional field. But Pisces energy is also about deception and delusions and illusions and confusions, and we can be confused, we can be delusional, we can face some of our own illusions, which is actually the best if we can do that, and it's allowing us to break out of those illusions, which can be uncomfortable, but it's necessary. We may be overly sensitive too, because this is Pisces, again, overly sensitive, need to escape reality. So if we feel hurt, if we feel betrayed, we may have a need to escape, to avoid something, to go into addictions, to run away, to escape this realm, to escape into the dream world, to sleep too much, to go into any kind of fantasy world that helps us not to deal with what is in front of us. So we may turn into escapists, but this can also help us to heal. Pisces is about healing, and it's a lot about self-healing. It's about our inner initiation. It's about our inner shamanism. And of course, on that path, we are facing a lot of illusions. And, it's very inspirational journey as well. Pisces is related to artistic and creative expression, music, arts, movies. Movies and music can take us into the fantasy world, of course. But it's also a lot about transcendence and tenderness and vulnerability and our intuition and our immune system and our spiritual immunity as well. Not only our physical immune system, but our spiritual immune system, our universality, our imagination, our mysticism, mystical experiences, the thirst for the spiritual experience, thirst for that feeling of something that makes sense, of that greater meaning. And we can easily tune in with those higher realms and our higher selves, but we can also fall into those illusions and become dreamers and fall into those fantasies. So it's very important to discern between fantasy and reality. And this is a reminder that at times we definitely need to journey through the darker, heavier sides of life, and at other times we are invited to enjoy the lightness. And this is the wisdom of the balance between holding on and letting go. So it's also a reminder that at the end of the day, no matter what was the path or the journey or experiences, we will always land where we need to be. So it's a great, there are great lessons behind all of these energies now. And we may find ourselves reflecting on the last 12 months, thinking about where we wish to go from here. And, we may have a strong desire to leave the past in the past. And why I said the last 12 months, because this is the last new moon in this astrological year, because we have astrological new year on the 20th of March, when the sun enters Aries. So that's the beginning of the new astrological year. So this lunation, this new moon in Pisces, represents some kind of a closing of the chapter, but also the beginning of a new one. It's of the new energy, new beginnings. So it's the new moon. New moon represents new beginnings, and we are planting seeds for something new. But because it's in Pisces, it also represents some kind of ending, dealing with the past, dealing with our subconscious fears, dealing with our karmic ancestral patterns, because Pisces also in the 12th house is strongly related to ancestors, to different timelines, to flashes and insights from different lifetimes. I won't say past lives, because past lives, it's misunderstood pretty much. It's very much misunderstood, because it doesn't really mean that it was some previous life. It can be something that happened in the future. As I said, it's very paradoxical for our rational mind. So Pisces also teaches us to get out of that rational and logical way of thinking and to enter into our right brain hemisphere of intuition and irrational way of thinking and non-linear way of thinking and being. It's more about being. So Pisces is not about thinking, it's about intuitive knowledge. It's about receiving that intuitive knowledge and connecting with our source and understanding that everything is connected, nothing is really separated. But in living in this world, in this material realm, we need those things to be separated. Otherwise, we wouldn't have knowledge of ourselves. And we are understanding that everything is precisely designed and connected. Just, if we are looking at the trees and the roots of the trees, invisible roots under the earth are all connected. There is a whole system of roots that we don't see, that are underground. That underground system of all roots that are interconnected is something that we don't see, but it's very much a live system and it's happening. So in the same way, there is some invisible system that connects all of us, and some of us can have an access to that underground system, to that invisible system during this time. So let's pay attention to our dreams and to synchronicities and to omens and to signs that we see, hear, feel and experience in our life and in our dreams and in our awakened state, while we are reading, while we are listening to something, while we are listening to music, while we are talking with somebody, while we are, hearing somebody's talk while passing by. All these things are telling us something about ourselves that we are supposed to learn from. But let's not become obsessed by these, messages and synchronicities, because then it doesn't make sense. So if we are always searching for those signs, it can lose the point. So this is the big message of really being able to tune into those energies intuitively. Just letting go and releasing. So we have to empty our glass, to empty our cup, to allow new knowledge, new things, new intuitive insights to come in. We have to empty ourselves. And this is that kind of energy of discharging, of releasing, of letting go, of surrendering, of, just giving it all to ether. Because Pisces is a very much ethereal sign, more than it is water. It is more ethereal. It has to do with ether. And we can now let go of all the pain and suffering and past attachments and just put them into that ether and let it go. But we can also use water as well, because water is also very, very helpful now to wash away it all. And water is very much related to energy. Energy is dynamic element as water. It flows, it tears down everything on its way, and the strongest is in autumn, when the rivers go wild. And this is related to Scorpio as a water sign. And at the beginning of the river there is the source, and it's related to gentleness and clarity, which is most suitable expressed by the Cancer. And from the other side of the river, that is the second sign, water sign that I'm talking about, Cancer, and from the other side of the river, the water is steady. So the steady water, powerless, without strength. So there is something romantic in that water, and it can be represented by the wave. And the most suitable symbol turned out to be Pisces, and sometimes it can be seen as an elephant, shark, pig, or the beaver, but the most suitable became the Pisces. And the water trinity has its triangle. Cancer is the wellspring, Scorpio is the river, and Pisces is the wave. So some waves will come for sure, and those emotional waves can be very strong, and these emotional floods can happen, emotional flooding, but there is a lot of purging, a lot of healing thanks to that, thanks to those waves. And this is something that is inviting us into the unknown. It's inviting us into that mystery. It's inviting us into the mysterious and mystical experience of life. And you know, there is an invitation to like just go out and feel like you have no idea where you're going. Like, have you ever taken that kind of walk where you just leave your home and go nowhere in particular, like not knowing where you're going, you just leave the house without having any goal. And this kind of energy is very good for doing that, actually, for experimenting, for just having that experience. And it's the kind of walk that we take when we want to either remember something or forget something. So we may either remember or forget some things, but whatever happens, either about it, if it's forgetting or remembering, it's very important to let it go, to consciously let it go, not to escape it, not to avoid it, but to consciously let it go. And this energy is pushing us to undo ourselves, because there is a lot of burden that we are going to feel, and there is a lot of wisdom that is buried in that burden that is hidden there. And it's very powerful to dig deep through that burden and to let it go. For some people, it will be ideal to dig deep and to discover some of those jewels and wisdom buried and hidden in those burdens. But for some people, it will be ideal for just letting go, not digging, not searching, not exploring anything, just letting go. Whatever comes, let go. Whatever comes, release, release, release. All the time releasing, non-stop, 24/7 releasing. And this is really, really an ideal time for this. So what would it look like to let go for a while? That's the question for us now. What would it look like if I could let go of this and that and this and that? Let's ask ourselves, let's make a list of things that we want to let go of, and let's imagine that we are letting go. Not imagine, let's do it. Let's let it go. And if it's too hard, let's try it imagining, because imagination is very supported now. We can imagine many things. So let's imagine something constructive, something that helps us heal. And we may be repairing some things too. So it's not it's not wrong if we want to repair something also. Nothing is so black and white in this life and in this world, and we have to know this, because our rational mind is trained in that way that we see things either or, and that's all. It's either this or that. But the Pisces energy in us is teaching us that it's not really like that, that it can be both, even though it sounds paradoxical. And as I said, there are no wrong paths. And this is a beautiful time to plant some amazing seeds that will, I hope, blossom and bloom into some enchanting flowers and fruits. And, we are reminded that we are not in control. We are not in control, and that there are forces that are much larger and greater than us, and that we just sometimes just need to release and let go. And this is, the key energy now, the key lesson for us. And, that there is this energy that tells us that we may need to self-sacrifice for something bigger, something greater. This comes from that old imprinted pattern into our subconsciousness, and it's Pisces is very much related to religion and to that sacrificial moment where we are sacrificing ourselves for the higher good, for the good of others. We are sacrificing ourselves, just like in religion, in those stories. But we are coming out of the age of Pisces, and we are changing the paradigms. There is this shift that is happening from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, and this is something that is happening every 2160 years approximately. So for one whole cycle to happen, it takes around 26,000 years. So we are now reaching that stage. We are in the middle between these two big shifts, between the age of Pisces and the age of Aquarius. And I wanted to read to you some parts from the book The Age of Aquarius that I highly recommend, because it's really full of some powerful, insightful information that can lead towards transformation. It's not just entertainment or some kind of, manipulation. It's really something that gives us all, these information here give us opportunity to find our own path. It can be different from any other path, but it's something that opens up our mind, that gives us different solutions, that allows us to think differently, to stretch our perception. And when it comes to Pisces, I remembered, because in this book there are many valuable things that help us understand what was the age of Pisces and what is the age of Pisces and where we are right now and why we are thinking the way we are thinking, why we are dealing with traumas that we are dealing with, why we are going through some difficult journeys in our lives, why some people go through this, why some people go through that, and those kinds of things. So I will only read some short things from this. And it says, the age of Pisces was the age of suffering and sacrificing, punishment and sin. It was during this age that we were taught and programmed to believe that something is wrong with us right as we are born. We are born out of sin, we are sinful, we carry errors, we are impure, we need to purify ourselves. We did something bad and now we are being punished. We can see this disruption and suppression and denial of the opposite sign of Virgo through this time. This is the age of masochism, while the age of Aries was sadism. This need to purify and cleanse ourselves from sin, this belief that we are imperfect beings and that we need to be perfect in order to earn a ticket for heaven. Karma has been misinterpreted largely during this time, and the whole concept of karma has been misunderstood from the collective. Karma is understood in a very superficial and trivial manner, and people are again led to believe that they have done something wrong in past lives, and now they are being punished while others are rewarded for being good. So we are not only told that we are born in sin, but that we have already sinned in past lives. This was a necessary program for our evolution. These were necessary lessons and algorithms and archetypes that we had to go through in order to learn, evolve, and understand. But now we don't need this anymore. Pisces is also about releasing, healing, and letting go. So now when we are letting go, now when we are in this transitional shift phase, we have the greatest chance to release, heal, and let go, to forgive and to transcend our pain and suffering. Maybe I wanted to read some more things, but maybe it would be too much. And yeah, I think this is just something to be reminded of. And you know, in this was the epoch of cataclysm, of, you know, cataclysm and awakening of consciousness at the same time. This is when all religions were born, the age of Pisces, all religions. And of course there are some good and some bad things that religions brought, but we are moving towards some completely different way of living, being, and thinking. And Pisces is very much related to primary chaos and sea gods and great mother and sea monsters and, you know, primary waters and chaos from which all emerged and was brought to life. But we'll talk about that a bit later. And you know, it's you know, in the midst of all interconnection, many can still suffer from emotional isolation. You know, we can see that this emotional isolation becomes stronger and stronger as we have more devices and platforms and networks to connect. And this is also paradoxical, you know. And you know, we have so many things, so many ways to connect with each other, but the more we have these technological devices and ways of connection, we see that emotional isolation becomes more exposed. But this is not something bad. It's very good that this emotional isolation is emerging. It's coming up. It's coming to the surface because we need to deal with it. And it's coming up collectively. Anxiety, social anxiety. We see this, you know, every younger person that I meet deals with social anxiety, deals with emotional isolation, deals with being misunderstood, deals with feeling alone and misinterpreted. And this is something that we need to deal with collectively and individually, of course, but we are seeing this all around us. And you know, this leads us to ask, how do we find that safe place in a society that is undergoing enormous and fast-moving change? And you know, the Pisces energy within us gives us the solution. It gives us the ticket. It's magical and mystical and forgiving Pisces energy, and forgiveness is also the key. We have to be able to forgive, and to forgive ourselves, to forgive others, to really experience forgiveness. Not only to, you know, say it because we know that this is something that should be done, but to really feel it within ourselves, to really surrender, to really feel that we are losing everything. And how would we feel in those moments when we are losing everything, when we are disappearing? You know, if we feel like we are disappearing, what really matters in those moments? And you know, love is a universal thing. Love is universal hunger. Everyone we see, everyone we meet, you know, and of course including ourselves, seeing ourselves in the mirror, everyone we see, we are all thirsty and hungry for love. Everyone is, you know, screaming and calling for love, but you know, we have to know that we have to answer this call, and we have to develop love for ourselves. And it's really important to be able to allow ourselves to do that. And the more we believe we deserve love, the more likely we are to receive it, within healthy limits, of course. But we have to truly feel that we really deserve this love, and we have to be able to give it to ourselves in order to receive it. And loving and accepting ourselves makes life a lot easier and more meaningful. So, we have to see what our hearts need, and those needs, we have to go through those needs. Even if they are, beastly or heavenly, it doesn't matter. We have to feel and experience all those needs. And of course, we will meet some beastly needs there. We have to experience them too, to feel them, to accept them, to acknowledge them, not to avoid them or deny them. When we deny those things, they grow stronger. It's like we give food to those things and they grow big. And each time we are disgusted by something, each time we feel afraid of something, each time we deny something, it's like we are feeding that energy, and it grows stronger. And whenever there is a chance, whenever we are weak and fragile, there is a crack, and these beastly needs come and come in front of us, and we feel attacked, and we don't know how to deal with it. And what do? We again escape, and we feed it again, and it grows bigger and bigger, and it overgrows us, and then we lose the power. Then we don't have any power over it, and then we are slaves of those needs. We become slaves of those. That's how addictions become strong. And those are any kinds of addictions. I don't mean only those official addictions that people, that our associations usually turn on when we think of addictions. Addictions can be any kind of addictions. Mental addictions, as I said last time also. So, let's not shy away from dark or the light. The heart needs both in equal measure. We need to know we are worthy, that we are worth of love. And, even if we don't feel it right now, we have to give ourselves permission to be loved, and to see what secret does our heart want us to know. That's something that we may be faced with. Some secrets that our heart wants us to know. And even if it's not something we are amazed with, it's something we need to face. We may be feeling especially desperate for relief. We need relief. We need to breathe. And this new moon makes a supportive sextile with Uranus. That's really good. That's amazing, because Uranus is the planet that awakens us. It wakes us up, and it brings shocks and surprises, sudden insights, and it shakes us up. But because this is sextile, it's supportive energy, so it will shake us up in a positive way. It will change something. It will bring some disruptions that will give us a greater sense of ourselves and of freedom. And we can really expect some positive surprises, positive shocks. And doing the right thing, making the right choice, seeking the right solution isn't easy. It requires sacrifice. And and even if we do the right thing, we may still face conflicts. It's not like if we do everything right, everything will turn out to be right. That's not how it works. We have to be able to face ups and downs, and to accept things that are not as we want them to be. To accept when reality is not as we expect it to be. Even if we did everything right, even if we were very good, even if we sacrificed too much, and just giving ourselves permission to be loved, and forgiveness and surrendering and letting go, these things are really helpful. Pisces is also related to meditation and contemplation and prayers, so these kinds of things are very deep. These kinds of things give us mystical experiences and altered states. So the realization of Atman, of the spiritual self, and it requires existence of a formed and steady ego. But the question is, are we operating from a worldly ego, or have we figured out the way of conscious ego? So that's the question, and we are given opportunity to reprogram our ego, to reprogram our perception. And our emotions can feel confusing, but this is something that is giving us opportunity to work with them. There is, during this time, this new moon in Pisces, there is a square between Uranus and Mars, and this can be tricky energy. This Mars and Uranus in square are not very friendly. It's not very friendly energy, so it can bring some outbursts and impulsive reactions, fiery, shocking surprises that bring us big earthquakes, emotional, mental, and physical ones. And squares are 90 degrees aspects that may seem like torture, but they offer us the ability to master life lessons. Squares are absolutely necessary for soul growth, and Uranus is the spiritual awakener. So there will definitely be some kind of an epiphany, and we might have to swim against the tide, and but the tides will turn eventually in our favor. And if things do not go as planned, it might be best to stop pushing and just step away and do nothing. That's the energy of Pisces. Being rather than doing, just doing nothing. Going into the silence, withdrawing, solitude, retreats, and isolation. These kinds of things are very helpful, very healing. So we need some space for ourselves. I need some time for me. It's me time, quality me time, healthy time for myself. And when we step away, we can use our power of discrimination to decide when to push and when to stay silent and do nothing. So we need that kind of wisdom now. This new moon gives us a lot of room to talk about what hurts, to open up about something, to just process what hurts, to digest it, to let it go. This energy gives us that kind of ability now, and it gives us a lot of support to deal with our subconscious fears. And let's prepare for some of those fears. They will probably come up, but we are going to be able to see them in a new way, because this is the new moon. So we are going to see some of those subconscious fears in a new way, in a new light, and we can renew ourselves, renew our spiritual path, refresh our intuition, refresh our relationship with our spiritual side of life. So fear is coded into our reptilian brain, and that's our fight or flight instinct, but it doesn't have to take over our conscious selves. And it's time to come in from the cold and to see that we are all related, and it's important to be resilient and to learn, if we haven't already, to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Learn to witness the chaos in the world without being swept into it. Just witness the chaos without becoming the chaos. That would be very good message of this new moon. Just, witness the chaos without becoming the chaos. And we are given chance to take a new look at past wounds by changing how we handle and cope with emotional upsets. The old methods of dealing with issues may prove to be outdated or out of touch with our new mindset. So, holistic and alternative healing will become more important to us than ever. And, of course we may face fears and anxieties, but it's something that is necessary while healing, while going through the process of healing. And we may have to turn inward. This new moon is a reminder to turn inward, to be introspective, to be unafraid to go deep, to turn inward, to remember our deepest truth. Pisces rule what's hidden, and we can shine a light on something that has been hiding in the shadows. Pisces also rules intuition, and that's our inner guide, and we are going to face those emotional insecurities and old hurts. Spiritual energy is very strong, and we can pursue new spiritual projects and just explore our spiritual sides in a big way. And Pisces also represents miracles. So that we have to stay open to insights from dreams and to inspiration from meditation. Meditation can be a very good medicine now, or just being in silence, just being able to tune in with nature, to listen to the sounds of nature, to turn off all devices from time to time. Just let's see how anxious we are without them or with them. Let's see how we can we sit in silence with ourselves. And it's very constructive to face those anxieties that come up while sitting in silence with ourselves. And Pisces side in us can mistake passivity for surrender and get lost in addictions of all kinds. And immature part of Pisces easily falls into codependency, martyrdom, and victimization. But awakened part of Pisces represents the end of our journey and the transcendence of illusions, especially illusion of separation. So this is, between the awakening of reality of oneness and falling into desperation and illusion of separation, we will feel, the push and pull between these two extremes. So we are given an opportunity to shift from identifying with our problems and seeing them as our gifts. If we can see our problems as gifts that are given to us to work with them, to open them and see how we can use them, then we can make some very significant changes. And it's a wonderful chance to go deep into our inner space and to be present in non-verbal communication, in communication with our soul, with the universe, with each other, and to elevate ourselves out of our fragmented mind. But with the moon in Pisces, we can often feel swept away by tidal waves of emotions and taken into our most vulnerable places. But that's something that is really giving us opportunity to feel ourselves as miracle and to allow ourselves to be loved. And Pisces archetype is represented by two fish swimming together, tail to tail. And that swimming in water gives us experience of being in the flow. But one fish represents our mind and the other fish represents our feelings. One fish represents the spirit, the other fish represents the matter, but they are both actually the manifestation that comes from oneness. And it's a reminder that everything that we see is actually a manifestation of the spirit. Everything in its essence is the spirit, and all that we see is manifestation of it, different aspects of that spirit. So I am one aspect of that spirit, you are other aspect of that spirit, and all things, all material things, all items, everything that we use, all tools that we use, everything is an expression of that spirit. So if we see life and reality in that way, we can truly change our perception in a very powerful way. We can truly help ourselves and make life a lot easier and more meaningful. Easier in a way that we are able to easily digest everything that we are facing and experiencing. And our mind can create a lot of stress in our body, and it does so all the time. It is difficult to relax when we are, pulled around in muddy waters of a confused and conflicted mind, and we may see how conflicted minds we have, how conflicted they are, but we also have an opportunity to truly surrender and let go, to tap into that sense, into that oceanic oneness, to feel that we are all swimming in the same water, even if we are taking different paths. But we can heal, and we are definitely given all the necessary tools for loving ourselves. And when we do that, we are easily coming in connection with life and with everything that is in life. Pisces uses consciousness, not thinking, to keep us tuned into the flow. And this is work. It's not just relaxing and being a passive observer or spaced out in a dreamy fantasy world. We have to be aware of and feel the flow to stay in it. It's not just surrendering and doing completely nothing. There is work in there. It's not let's try, and you'll see that it's not so easy to be in the being, because we are so much used to be doing, to multitask, to scroll down our screens, to be online so much, to watch movies, to connect, to communicate, to talk about things all the time, to chit-chat, to read things that entertain us and that don't give us any substantial meaning. So it's not so easy to be in that state of being. It's not easy to meditate. It's not easy to be in silence, with yourself. It's not easy to tune into nature these days. It's very challenging. But, I challenge you. This is an open invitation. I challenge you to be in nature, to be with yourselves, to be silent, at least for some time during the day. We must release resistance and give up our need to be in control. And we have to accept that, my way may not be the best way. Our goal is to awaken to an expanded dimension of reality that is right here and right now. So we don't have to go anywhere. And when we get there, we actually realize that there is here. And we don't have to go anywhere. We may wonder how we missed it for so long, but this is the energy when a wheel can simply be lifted and we see life differently. We have to trust that the big game is set up for us to win. When we are living in that kind of mode, things become very much different. We have to trust that there is another way, another reality where we can relax, let go, and find love. Until we can get into this miracle zone, we will always experience stress and conflict and struggle. And that is determined by our level of resistance and non-acceptance and desire to have things different than they are. So we first have to accept some things. And control is a tricky term. And we are obviously not in control of the universal flow, but we have to control and focus our mind so we can access it. And without serious focus, which awakens consciousness, we can't get deep enough to find what we are looking for. So we have to stay present to that open, dark, empty space, to feel our bodies and our breath breathing in our bodies. We have to befriend what we think are our demons. And in order to access that infinite stage of life, that's something that really gives us an access into the mystery zone of the unknown. That's something I always talk about when I talk about Pisces, the zone of the unknown and the unseen and the unconditional love. So we have to get there. We have to get into that Pisces zone, into that invisible zone. And it is time to withdraw into ourselves. This is an invitation to withdraw into ourselves, to meditate, to let our subconscious material come from deep inside, and to surrender, and to feel that relief in situations where nothing else has worked. So we have to surrender. Those are things where we have tried everything. We have exhausted every possible scenario, and it's time to just let it go, to say it's up to you, universe. We have to have that kind of approach now. And it becomes easier when we witness the magical hand of the infinite. And this energy now is giving us that kind of sight, new eyes, new vision, new inner sight, insight. And the more we realize that we are supported by universal and unknown forces, the easier it becomes to let go. And as I said, let's create some let go list. Make a list of situations that we have been working on without results, and where have we hit that dead end and can't figure out what to do next. And every time we feel that we are in that dead end, that we are starting to worry, to get angry, to get upset, to feel sad, frustrated, so let's just give it back to the universe and say, it's up to you, universe, you handle it. And whatever we are dealing with that we don't want, we have a chance now to give it to the divine and to the universe, to the source, call it whatever you want. It's up to you. And let's say, this is yours. This is yours. And it is really great time to do that. And this Pisces in the 12th house deals a lot with endings and death. And death is the greatest unknown, the greatest mystery of life. So many of us may deal with those kinds of questions of life and death. And it's time to review our life, to let the seeds that are planted deep in our soul to be nurtured, so that they can sprout. And during the time of letting go, we may find ourselves crying a lot, not even knowing why. So there is a lot of crying during this time too. It's a good grief, and we may be crying because we may feel touched by the sacredness of life. But the Piscean waters accept our tears, and it's a great time to wash them away, to wash away our regrets, and assist us. This energy assists us in letting go very much, and we can truly release our sorrows and feel that healing cosmic ocean taking care of everything. And we may be faced strongly with that need to control and to be right, but we can let it go. We can truly do so. And this energy is here to help us heal, after all. Really, it's here to help us heal, to help us forgive, to help us transcend what no longer serves us. And there is some kind of karmic completion as well. And we may feel this stronger and stronger as we get closer to these eclipses, because they are big karmic shifts. And especially when it comes to our blockages and fears. And we may also feel extra romantic because we have a strong Piscean energies now, and we can express ourselves creatively. We can express that romantic side of us creatively. And Pisces is a mutable sign, so our thoughts and feelings might go through a lot of movement and a lot of change. This is an initiation into magical ways of knowing that are initiating us into deeper mysteries of life and death. And we look for a way out of the maze of our current limitations, out of that mental loops and labyrinths. We are reminded to be unafraid to confront great depths when we are searching for transformation. And we come to understand some things, and this is something that gives us ability to stare into our eyes to stare into the unknown, to look at ourselves in the mirror, to stare deeply into our eyes, and to ask ourselves, who is there inside? This is one healing technique that I give usually in our monthly horoscopes. There are many techniques and exercises, but this one is very good for this period of time, to just stare at ourselves and to be silent, to stare into our eyes, to get lost in that staring, to get lost into looking into ourselves, and to just not even ask ourselves, but to just feel that question, to feel the question, who is there? Who is it there? Who is looking through these eyes? Who is looking into this? Who is asking this question? Who is feeling this question? What is inside? Who is inside? And those kinds of things will give us strong intuitive knowledge, intuitive insights, without rational explanation, without logical explanation. We can feel those non-linear experiences. So let's pay attention to our dreams and our feelings. Our feelings and our emotions cannot lie. We can lie ourselves mentally, we can say many things to ourselves, but what we feel and how we feel, we cannot deny. We cannot escape that. We can try, but it's there. That kind of feeling is there. And we can understand now one quote from Bhagavad Gita that says, death is certain for one who has been born, and rebirth is inevitable for one who has died. Therefore, you should not lament over the inevitable. And there is also a great quote that really goes great with this new moon in Pisces. It says, be kind to the afflicted, be gentle with the fool, empathize with the weak and oppressed, and be especially compassionate with those who cling to concrete reality. And with this, I would end this forecast, and I don't know what to tell you, but, be silent, enjoy solitude, meditate, contemplate, turn everything into meditation, stare at yourselves, feel yourselves, embrace yourselves, and be fearless. I love you all and see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.